No, 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 no. I will not accept this. This is unacceptable. This is like an insult on Trump. Like, how can you reject Trump's offer? Guys, please move closer. Help me weigh in on this matter. Because we were going about our lives in America, when our president started shouting up and down that white people are being prosecuted in South Africa. Oh, they are taking land from white farmers. Everybody started panicking. Like, what is happening in South Africa? Is there another xenophobic attack? Let me quote him actually. He said, South Africa is confiscating land and treating a certain class of people very badly. A massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see. Massive. United States will not stand for it. I will be cutting off all future funding to South Africa. Guys, it turns out that Trump is referring to the government's effort to finally right decades of wrongdoing against black South Africans. I'm sure that you guys know that white people were not originally from South Africa. Like, they migrated in the late 17th century from Netherlands, France, England, Germany, in short, from Europe. I mean, they were immigrants in South Africa, but they forcefully colonized the people. Actually, no. They enslaved the owners of the land, the black South Africans. This is something that Donald Trump doesn't know, by the way, so you're welcome. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way, with the word enslave. You can Google it. Did white people enslave South Africans? And you will see that, yes, white Europeans enslaved South Africans. It was the Dutch that introduced slavery to the Cape Colony. That was what they called it at the time in 1652. You will not believe that it lasted until 1834, 182 years after they said they ended slavery, but that the slaves will still be in the possession of their owners as apprentices. Wow. South Africans, you guys have suffered. Fast forward to 1913, they came up with what they called the Natives Land Act that literally pushed all the black people in South Africa to certain parts of the country, making sure that they occupied only 8% of their own land. Can you imagine? And this act restricted them from owning land everywhere else in their own country. I can't even imagine white people forcefully taking lands from Nigerians and then limiting us to only 8% of our country. And by the way, where they were relocated to was very strategic. They were put at like borders of major cities in order to make sure that they could easily come into the cities where white people lived to work for them. And by work, I mean to clean for them, to cook for them, to take care of their children. Basically, everything that you use a slave for. And they were made to work on white people's farms, which was actually their land, but now they were cultivating it for the white people. And you know, the sad thing is, if you go to South Africa today, you can still see that segregation. I mean, they're literally separated by meters. When I went to South Africa, I saw it, I was shocked. So on one side, you have beautiful homes with backyards and electricity, running water. On the other side, not even far, you have slums. And it's still like that. And then by 1948, when the National Party came to power, all of them are white, by the way, they literally wrote segregation into their law. Apartheid was established, which lasted until the early 1990s. And it wasn't just about black people not allowed to use their toilets. No. The government, consisting of only white people, passed a total of 148 apartheid laws during those years. They didn't pass all of them at once, but over the years, they started passing all kinds of laws about things that black people were not allowed to do in their own country. In total, they passed 148 apartheid laws, including mandating black people to carry passbooks. This is not passport, they call them passbooks that will state where they are allowed to work and the places that they are allowed to go to in their own country. They had restricted mobility. Just imagine that. So if they go anywhere else that is not written in their passbook, they could be arrested. The white minority basically controlled where black people could live, where they could walk, even where they could worship. They were not, of course, they were not allowed to use the same toilets as white people. If they were working at a white person's house and they needed to pee, they had to keep it in. They had to hold it in until they got to where black people were allowed to pee. It was very similar to what African Americans went through in America. The only difference is they were going through it in their own country. They were not allowed to use the same movie theater. Black students were educated in a separate system that was considered inferior. Housing was allocated by white people based on race. Employment was allocated based on race. Interracial marriage was not even allowed at all. It was illegal for you to date a white person if you were black. Millions of South Africans were forcibly removed from their homes so that white people could occupy those lands and turned it into their own towns. Can you imagine that they had white-only churches at that time? And they had white pastors who claimed that God supported apartheid. Just imagine. And while all this was happening, by the way, they were exploiting the diamond wealth of the country, making profit on both ends, because since they were already in control, they were already in charge, so they were exporting it as if it was their diamond. So the majority of the profit was going to the white colonial powers. The local people saw very little benefit, and they had to endure harsh working conditions in the mines. They were the one doing the legwork, but the white people made the main profits because they were exporting it as if it's theirs. And of course, they were shipping it to their countries, to their continent, so they were making profits on both ends. And a lot of people will tell you today that so many European countries, so many Western countries were developed by the natural resources that were stolen from Africa. Now, the worst part is black people were not allowed to become lawful citizens of their own country. They were not allowed to be full citizens. And since they were not even considered full citizens, they were not allowed to participate in politics. Not just that, they had no voting rights. I mean, they were not allowed to vote in their own country. And of course, they were not given international passports. Remember, they've already restricted their movement. So traveling abroad was not easily allowed. And this went on until the early 1990s when apartheid officially ended and a democratic government was formed in 1994. Hopefully, though, this gives you an insight into why a lot of Africans still today don't understand the justification for xenophobia, because so many African countries actually stood by South Africa when they were going through all this, fighting for their independence. Nigeria was in the forefront of fighting for their liberation, to the point that Nigeria was issuing international passports and facilitating travel for South Africans seeking to leave the country under the oppressive regime by providing them with Nigerian passports. I've seen all kinds of arguments, some people saying that the reason some South Africans, and not all of them by the way, don't misquote me, the reason why some South Africans don't like other black Africans is because they're still healing from apartheid. So it's hard for them when they see other black people like them come into their country and thrive regardless of the system. But the black Africans are not the enemy. But I digress. Now, everything that I said is just history. I have nothing against any white South African, but I needed to, give you this background story for you to understand why now they are trying to get their land back. In any case, it's been 31 years now since the end of apartheid. But do you know that till today, the vast majority of private farmland in South Africa, 72% to be precise, is still owned by the country's white minority, 7% of the population, but they own 72% of the land. I mean, black people have been hoping for their land to be given back to them since the end of the apartheid. They've been debating this for decades. So many black people are upset. So finally, they passed a land expropriation law in January of this year that aims to address the legacy of colonialism and apartheid. And by the way, the law that they passed in January, the one that Trump is upset about, does not say that land will be seized arbitrarily. No, they are actually targeting lands that are not being used, and they are also saying that there will be an agreement with the owner. Any land expropriations would still have to go through South Africa's independent courts.
There is no intention of the state to expropriate any land that is being used, that is being productive. Residential property, commercial property, farmers, mines are not going to be affected. You can only expropriate in circumstances where there is no current use of the property. There are instances where it says expropriation without compensation could take place. Those include things like where the state or organs of state owns land, but they don't need to hold on to it because they don't need them to exercise their core functions.
Meanwhile, I've also seen the video of Julius Malema chanting "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer" at a stadium in 2023. I do not support him singing that. However, they've actually been singing our song since the time of apartheid. It wasn't Malema that invented it, and I'm not making an excuse for him, but it was popular in the early 1990s by Peter Mokaba, a leader of the African National Congress during the time of segregation. Again, I'm not saying that it should still be singing that song, apartheid has ended, people are trying to live together in peace, but they are also hoping to be treated fairly, to be treated equal in their own country. So now that you have a better understanding of why the government in South Africa wants to get more land for black people, because even though apartheid is over, whoever owns the land is still the one in control of the economy, because this is monopoly on the land, and of course they are the largest farmers, huge source of income because people have to eat. So till now, white people still own the lion's share of all forms of capital in South Africa. And the people are not saying that we will do to white people what they did to us. No, they're just saying give us more land. It is after all our land, because if white people, who are only 7% of the population, are still in control of 72% of the land, is apartheid really over?
Today, 60% of the mostly black population of Cape Town lives in these townships at the edge of the city. The thing is, Cape Town city center has land to develop, but because of its location, it's valuable. So it usually gets sold to private developers who build luxury apartments. Nearly $1 billion worth of them are going up by the coast.
Only for the U.S. president to see that white people are being prosecuted.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. They're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
But the South African situation is very, very dangerous and very bad for a lot of people.
So did Trump know about the apartheid when it was happening? Of course, yes, of course he does. Did he help the South Africans at the time? Not that I'm aware of. But what I do know is after Mandela was released and he was trying to visit the US as part of a war tour, his people contacted Trump because he had an airline at the time, and he charged them $130,000 to fly Mandela and his team, which is okay. It's business, Could he have done it for free? Of course, but nobody is even asking him to do it for free. That's not even the issue. The issue is, during an interview before Election Day, someone asked him about it. They said, oh, you helped Mandela with your plane. And he said, yes, I did, because I like helping people. And I don't like talking about it. Like, he did not say he collected money, $130,000 to be precise. How do you forget that kind of detail?
Nelson Mandela and 80 of his constituents were trying to come to the United States.
Yeah.
You chartered a 727 plane for their entire trip.
Yeah. I just like helping people. I help a lot of people, and I enjoy doing it, and I never talk about it. It's nice that you bring it up.
Guys, by the way, when they contacted him, they asked to use his private jet. They actually wanted to use his private jet, and he said that his private jet was being serviced. So then he offered them a commercial plane and charged them $130,000. But the most painful thing was hearing his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, in his book reveal that Trump actually never liked Mandela. That he said Mandela effed up the whole country. Now it's a shithole. He quoted Trump saying, F Mandela, he was no leader. And I remember that time, South Africans were so upset, like, who the hell are you? Like, what the heck? Can you imagine? So, of course, he knew about the apartheid when it was going on. Okay, enough of the history lesson. Let's get back to him threatening South Africa. This was the response of South African president, by the way, when Trump threatened them.
I don't know what Donald Trump has to do with South African land, because he's never been here. And he must keep his America. We will keep our South Africa. That's what he must do. South Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here in South Africa. It does not belong to Donald Trump. He can keep his America. He must leave us alone. Stay out of our issues.
Who's not Africans? Other Africans that are not from South Africa, please tell me, can your president speak to Trump like that? Like, testify in the comment section. Me, I'm very sure that Alaji will even say more. Then, yes, let me know in the comment section. Why are some of you laughing? Only for Trump to end all funds to South Africa. Can you imagine? And he didn't stop there. He signed an executive order to resettle white South African farmers in the US. I mean, he's offering asylum to all white people in South Africa to come and be refugees in America because they are being persecuted. Which brings me back to the beginning of this video. Imagine my shock when some of them said no to Trump. I was like, that they were not interested. I said, no, I will not accept that. Like, watch this.
Why would you want to go? There hasn't been any really bad taking over of land. The people are carrying on like normal. And, what are you going to do over there?
And he had this to say about Trump cutting off aid to his country.
We all know how Mr. Trump behaves, so why should they do that? Is it being spiteful?
No, I'm not a refugee. Me, I come from South Africa. I'm indigenous from here. Yeah, I'll maybe go take a holiday there, but I won't go to stay there. Our government is very good to us. They actually just fixed our road, and that actually boosts our business, because now there's going to be more people buying chickens from us and eggs, and also pig meat and so on.
We have to state categorically, we don't want to move elsewhere.
We might disagree with the ANC, but we love the country.
There's major conflicts in many other countries of the world that actually deserve an asylum better than what we do in South Africa.
The government in South Africa is persecuting Afrikaners community.
I think they should stop spreading lies and propaganda, because it's all fake news.
Can you imagine how they insulted Trump? Anyways, the sad thing is, now, maybe after he realized that there is no case there, and white South Africans are better off in South Africa because they control the wealth, now he switched to South Africa's genocide case against Israel. In 2023, when Israel started bombing Gaza, South Africa alleged that Israel had committed and was committing genocide against Palestinians, and so they filed a case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. So now Trump is saying they have to withdraw that case, or else no more funding. And guess what? South Africa has vowed not to withdraw its genocide case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, despite the Trump administration's threats and aid cut. They said they are not withdrawing it. So let me tell you what I think about this whole drama. First of all, I'm upset. I'm really upset that white South Africans are not coming to be refugees in America. Can you imagine? Like, we were getting ready for them to come. We were going to help them sweep the houses. God, we were laying the beds and so, but they refuse to come. That is very, very painful for some of us that are here in America, The second thing is, does Trump know that there's actually a war going on in Sudan, in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and there are people there who actually desperately need asylum invitation? Or is this invitation based on the color of the skin? That's what I'm trying to understand, because nobody attacked any white farmer in South Africa, yet they are being given free asylum invitation. What about those who are being killed? Those who are being displaced in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Sudan? Are they not deserving of being invited to come and seek asylum in America? Are we being selective in who deserves to be protected? I'm really looking forward to your comments, but real quick, one thing that is not based on the color of your skin is the performance of Lemfi app on your cell phones. Yes, it is still the month of love. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. How y'all doing? I hope you guys enjoyed it. This Valentine's season, Lemfi does not discriminate whether you are white or black. Everybody is invited to download this app. It will only take you 1 minute to download it on your cell phone, and just like that, you can send money from your cell phone in the US, in the UK, and Canada directly to the bank account or the M-Pesa account of your loved ones in Nigeria, in Ethiopia, Ghana, Gambia, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Uganda, Rwanda, Mali, Congo, and Benin Republic without paying any transaction fees. Hey, you know, and just entering my name Adiola as promo code alone will get you credited with $10 plus another $10 when you send $100 or more. So guys, download Lemfi. After all that history lesson, just sit down, take a minute and do what? Download Lemfi. I can't wait for Lemfi to start working in South Africa as well. Let me know what you guys think about that. Trump versus South Africa and the fact that they rejected his offer. In another video, we will be talking about this video, which I'm sure many of you have seen. I know. Yes, we will talk about it. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. And thank you so much for subscribing to all the people that have subscribed. If you're yet to subscribe, it is free. The only reason I ask you to subscribe is so that you will know every time I upload a new video. Also, click the bell button so that you will be notified. Alright, y'all. It's been real and I'm keeping it up in here. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, I'm going to see you later. Peace out.